boy, my high is we are filming this on a Friday. It is Cinco de Mayo. And the Celtics are back in playoffs, baby. They had a terrible game one, came out to a 45-point James Harden performance. Okay, sick. And then they
Without
lost
Embiid.
without Embiid. But they showed up on Wednesday, like they actually remembered how to play basketball, and we won. Pretty much played our entire bench for like the last quarter. Sweet. Loved it. Great.
So how do you feel about splitting the series at home?
So here's the tea. I think the garden needed to be saged and that there was no saging to be done, which I think resulted in the loss on Monday.
Do you think the TD Garden's cursed?
I think it was. I think they must have had some shaman or something come in and clean up the place a little bit, because they actually like showed up and were ready to perform on Wednesday. But I was just getting overall bad vibes on Monday. I was still raw from the Bruins loss, which we'll talk about in my, actually, you know what, spoiler alert, that's my low. The Bruins lost.
I was at the game in a Winnie the Pooh outfit.
Yeah,
that was my low.
Tough low, tough day for Boston. But you know what? I'm not going to focus on the past. I'm going to live in the present. And the Celtics are the balls. So that's my high. And my low.
I mean, we can just finish talking about the Celtics really quick here, just because we're on the topic. You guys are going to Philly. How do you feel? Steve's there. Shout out Steve Hewitt, Celtics beat reporter Steve, friend of the program. Some are saying. All right. So Haley, off to Philly. How you feeling?
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Huge shout out Steve Hewitt. I'm actually I'm gonna call an audible real quick and make him my hero as the week, excuse me. Steve Hewitt, our buddy, ran the Boston Marathon a couple weeks ago, which is like so awesome. I am so in awe of people that run marathons and run in general, because it could never be me. But shout out to him. Very nervous about Philly, to answer your question. Just because the more that I work with you two, the more I, cover sports, Philly scares the absolute shit out of me.
But we love it.
And it's just one of those, I don't know, as a Boston fan, it scares the shit out of me. It's an awesome sports town. Their fans are crazy, dude. So I'm nervous about the environment. That being said, if the Celtics show up and play like they played on Wednesday, I feel really confident in our ability to win on the road. Making sure we're keeping up defense, not only on Embiid, but Harden as well, because he's just been popping off. And like in this series, he was someone that I totally wasn't even thinking about coming into the series.
I don't know how.
He just, well, I don't know. Like, because there was so much about Joel like, in the MVP conversation and this, that, and the other thing. And like, I just wasn't really thinking about, I don't know.
Basketball?
Well, yeah, I was just thinking about how we were going to win, No, I was just like, I don't know. So I was also still raw from the Bruins loss. But yeah, James Harden is, up there in the conversation for just, one of the best basketball players playing right now, like just based on the last couple games. So I'm nervous, but I'm hoping that we come out with a win. Also, James Harden is just like a villain of basketball to me.
He's kind of in the Draymond Green conversation.
He is in, and thank you. As I was watching the Warriors game last night, he gives me the same
Grayson
vibe.
Allen also.
I won't say that, but yeah.
I will.
So I don't know. It's just like there's an ominous feeling about this 76ers team between him and Joel Embiid. Just like, I don't know, they can come out and just absolutely kill it, and then we could be fucked if we don't play to our best ability. But if we do, then we can hold our own and win. So we'll see.
Do you think that the problem is that it feels to me the issue is the Celtics are clearly the better team. I think that they have a little bit better depth. But the issue is that to me, it's very evident that it's Jason Tatum's team, but it doesn't feel like everyone knows that it's Jason Tatum's team. I will also throw Grant Williams in that conversation of players that are kind of villains in the NBA also. But Jaylen Brown is right in that conversation. And I think there's like not really a number one like leader on the team. And I think that that's sort of the issue for me when I don't see them playing the way that they did in the last game. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting point because I would argue that Jason Tatum is the leader of the team. However, if we look at Wednesday night, he did not have a lot of time on the floor. When he was on the floor, he wasn't making big plays. So it is kind of like that vibe that I feel as a fan, our starting five, and even Malcolm, best sixth man of the NBA this year. Thank you. Shout out. I think they equally bring to the team, and that's kind of what's unique about them. And I think that they have a very established, relationship with each other in the way that they play basketball. And I think when you watch them play, and it's interesting when we talk, I have in our notes for later that Marcus Smart won the Hustle Award for the second time in a row. I just think that they all individually bring so much, not only in scoring, but and what they need to work on, obviously defensively. But when you have games like Wednesday where Jason Tatum isn't on the floor as much as he usually is, it does feel like something's missing from that. And I understand your point there that it's almost like they're missing that big player. But I feel like in the regular season, and I don't know what's going on, it just seems like he's not playing like himself. I don't know if he's injured or what's going on, but when he is on top of it, I think it's his team. But
Okay.
this series so far, I'm not getting that vibe. Hopefully he can step it up for game 3, but we'll see. So Lakers Warriors, I we talked about it last week a little bit, and I'll say it again. Just watching Steph Curry and LeBron James play against each other is like one of those moments where you just sit back and you're like, I am so lucky to be alive and watching this basketball in front of me right now. Like, it's just two of the best to ever do it, in my opinion, going head to head. And
I think
it's
everyone's opinion. It's like them
yeah,
and Jordan. I don't
MJ,
know. Like,
yeah. It's crazy to just I saw on Twitter the other day, it was like a clip from a high school basketball game and just kids shooting threes like out of their ass and getting them in. And it was like Steph Curry has completely changed the game of basketball.
change the game.
It is so true. And so I've had a lot of fun watching this series. It's funny, I watched the games with my mom, Nance, shout out Nance. And she had asked like kind of like who's the favorite, and it was funny because I was like, these are like a 6 and like a 5, 6, 7 seed. Like this was, they weren't really projected to do very well. We've talked about the Lakers whiteboard meme and all that kind of stuff, but I'm having a lot of fun watching this series. They are
Did you
tied up
see?
now, I believe. So
Did you see LeBron and Anthony Davis's press conference last night with their outfits?
I did not see that, but I did see the pictures.
They were so well dressed last night, and we're gonna talk about some Met Gala stuff too eventually in our NFL stuff. But I don't know, this year, yeah, like you said, like I feel as though we were very blessed to be able to watch them play each other in the postseason. I think that everyone's already covered all the Klay Thompson stats at this point by the time this podcast is going to come out, so it's not going to be anything groundbreaking. But obviously they play so much better when he's putting up, 30 points in a game and making up for some of the stuff that they can't when you're playing against LeBron. And I don't know, it's just, I feel very blessed. I don't have a ton to say about the series. I've been falling asleep and at like halftime in these West Coast games. I'm not even going to lie to you because I'm a baby. But the East Coast games, I have watched almost all of them. I've been watching more hockey over anything. You're more of the basketball girl. I'm the hockey girl. That's just, it is what it is. But I do watch the Celtics games for you. And because I obviously live in Boston and cover Boston sports, this is, I feel like, the big conversation in basketball right now anyway, just because Joel's the MVP. He's been hurt. The Celtics obviously had a huge win the other night, but did not expect to lose the first game like we talked about earlier. It's all that I've been paying attention to, and it's all that I feel like is going on in the city, especially after the Bruins. Do you think that this is a must-win game for the 76ers?
That's a good question. No, I don't think it's a must win. And here's the thing, and I hate to keep bringing it back to the Bruins because I know, like, oh my God, it sucked, it was horrible. But I can no longer trust anything in sports anymore. I don't trust any lead, anything anymore. I just can't because I can't allow myself to go through that pain again. So I think that it's not a must win. I think that they're going to be at home. They should win. I hope they don't win. And I think the Celtics can go in there and blow the roof off the place. But again, like we talked about earlier, it's going to be a matter of who comes out doing what. And I think either way, either of these teams look really good. It's a really good playoff basketball series. It's just the Doc Rivers drama. Like it's just classic playoff basketball, and I'm happy with it. I'm happy with the series. I'm happy with the script. And again, I hope the Celtics come out on top. But again, as I said with the Lakers Warriors series, like I'm obviously the basketball fan, like you said, you're the hockey gal, but it does suck for the city of Boston to watch the Bruins, win the President's Cup, all this stuff, and then just absolutely gets, destroyed in the playoffs. So I think it is important for the city that the Celtics do well. And, I know Boston privilege, whatever, blah, 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 but I'm riding pretty hard for basketball and for the Celtics this series.
We talked about our nightmare Stanley Cup teams to play each other. What would your nightmare NBA finals be?
So here's the thing. I was talking about this with Nancy last night. Either way, so say best case scenario, the Celtics make it to the NBA finals, which is what I would love, right? Watching the Lakers and the Warriors play, I am terrified to play either of those teams in a Stanley Cup, or not Stanley Cup, in an NBA final. Just because LeBron and Steph can get onto that court, especially in the postseason, and either of them can just do things that you never would have thought even imaginable. So I think that those two teams against the Celtics, like I would be scared to face either of those two teams. I think my anxiety would be very raised. So I guess that is a nightmare scenario for me, is if we play either the Lakers or the Warriors, more so the Lakers, because then I have to look at LeBron for a whole series. And I know he is incredible, but he is a villain in my eyes in basketball. So I don't know. I'm very scared either way. I guess if the Celtics don't make it, I would hate to watch the 76ers and the Lakers, because I wouldn't want either one to win.
That's a valid point. I was gonna say as someone without a dog in the fight, would hate to watch the Lakers play the Heat, just because I am so fucking sick of the LA and Miami shit.
Good one.
I'm so sick of it. I like small market teams. I would or like teams that haven't been good in a long time. I'm sick of LA and Miami. Can you guys shut up and go away, please?
Yeah, that is such a great point. And Miami is back on the news again this week, as it will be for the whole weekend with F1 down there. So they have their time. Give it to somebody else.
Not getting ahead of the Celtics, obviously, but who would you want to play in an NBA final?
I would love to play the Nuggets, just because I love this. I love that team. I love Jokic. I can never say his name. I always sound like I'm throwing up. But the Nuggets are really fun to watch. I would say probably the Nuggets would be.
I was gonna say the Suns. Whoever comes out of that series.
Suns, yeah, whoever comes out of that series.
I wouldn't want to play against the Suns at all, because Kevin Durant scares the shit out of me.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. Like, I feel more confident playing against the Nuggets that we would win that series.
But I love their team, and I love Arizona.
Suns and four guy, iconic.
Yeah,
dude. So good.
Yeah, I really. Yeah, I like the Suns. So
yeah, I do too.
That's kind of where I'm at, just because you won't hear from us until probably some of these series are over. I wanted to throw some thoughts out there so you guys know who we're watching and that kind of thing. Last NBA thing before we talk about the athletes at the Met Gala. R.I.P. Mike Budenholzer. He got fired. Yep. All right. As the Bucks fan on the show, I don't. At the time, I will say I was saying some mean shit. I'm not gonna lie to you. Not mean shit. It was constructive criticism, as like everyone else. You can't take a time out into the off season. At the time, I didn't know that his brother died. I'm not gonna lie to you, and I feel kind of like a dickwad, but I didn't know that. No fans knew that. It was a dumb move. Like, you can say that. You're allowed to say that. And I'm sorry, and I know that I, of all people who has experienced something tragic, losing people the last year, should be more sensitive, but I didn't know. That being said, after I found that out, I did feel bad. I do feel, you know what? In sports, you're supposed to always have a take. They tell you to always have a take, whether you're right or you're wrong. Ride one line hard, one way or the other. Don't be in the middle. Don't sit in the middle. Don't say, I don't know. And for the first time, really, I don't really know how I feel about this because as a human being, I'm like, that fucking sucks. And that makes sense why you were incompetent at your job. As someone who's lost people really close to me in the last 2 years, I also have been not great at my job when dealing with these things. That being said, it's a really high caliber job that costs you a ticket to go further in the postseason and a potential championship for your city. And it was your job and you didn't do it right. So do I get why people who don't do their job well get fired sometimes? Yeah, but I'm sitting here as a human being like, yeah, I probably messed up at my job quite a bit when I was going through some shit, and that's okay. So I think for the first time kind of in my sports career, like I don't really have a take. I don't know what to say. I don't know what's right and wrong, and I see both sides of it. And that being said, we can sit here and dissect the numbers as much as we want. We can sit here and talk about wins and losses. We can talk about carrying timeouts into the postseason. But his brother died. And like, I don't have anything other like I don't have anything else to say. Like that sucks. And I'm so sorry for him. But what do you say?
Yeah, 100%. I think that you summed it up pretty well. Um, yeah, I mean, we don't really have to go into it any further. I think that pretty much covers it. It's one of those things where it's just you can see both sides. I agree. I can see both sides of it. Um, there is a lot of pressure that comes with being a head coach and a lot of responsibility, and I do not envy them in any way for the positions that they get put into.
Same.
And so I would just, send sympathies to his family and hopefully that he gets an opportunity elsewhere and can show them that he is a great head coach because I think he has shown that he is capable of doing
Yeah. And all three of us are guilty, and some other people of going after people online, like not knowing what's going on. And that's
Oh yeah.
unfortunately just part of the culture. And we can all be
Yep.
better about it. We can all be nicer about it. But it's like, unfortunately, like
Yep.
people are gonna question moves sometimes. And as journalists, reporters, commentators, like whatever, like it just sometimes that happens.
Yeah,
And
100%.
yeah, so like you can say you're sorry about it, but it like I can't say I'm never gonna do it again. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Um,
it's one of those things too when we talk about these parasocial relationships. Like we don't know everything going on in these people's lives, just as you guys don't know everything going on in our lives, and that's just how it is. So, again, it's not something that you were expected to know, I don't think, or any of us even knew, and it wasn't something that was very public knowledge. So, you were simply making a response on sports and how
I'm
your team
and
played
I
out. So,
nobody said anything to me. I don't think I said anything that was too far. I'm not saying
no,
anything about that in any means. I'm just saying like anytime you criticize someone's work and you don't know what's going on, like you're obviously gonna feel like holy
yeah,
shit, that person's a human being.
and feel
But
bad.
yeah, totally. And that's okay. Like that's like the human experience. Like
Yeah.
that's normal, but it's just like I for once don't know what to say. We're on the coaching market now. I don't know. Hello, Nick Nurse. Is that I don't know. Like it just I didn't expect to be here and now like we were getting on the show and there's conversations of if Giannis is going to stick around and I quite literally cannot handle that as a fan. Like the thought of him not being a Milwaukee Buck like will keep me up at night. That would be like Trevor Lawrence leaving the Jags and like he hasn't even won us a championship yet. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I would you wouldn't hear from me for a hot minute. I would need to just put my phone down, turn my computer off, go to the gym and like move some weights for a couple hours, I think. Like I'm not even kidding. That would be such a horrible day for me. Um that being said, I have no more basketball notes. Are we set on basketball?
Yeah, we are set on basketball. I will say the one thing that was kind of awesome from this week is Jason Tatum has come out with his healthy candy line or
I
whatever.
saw this.
So they did do a taste test on TNT where Shaq asked if it was gummies or goomies. So if you haven't watched that clip,
Are you
highly,
serious?
yeah, highly suggest it. It's good.
How did I miss that?
It's really good.
I feel like I see
Um,
this is why I hate Twitter now. I don't see anything that I would have before and in stuff that I would have wanted to see.